Welcome back to Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. This is the new account week by week. This is weeks 14 and 15. When it comes to the milestones, here is what we are looking at. We are still progressing one level each week. We hit levels 83 and level 84. And by next week, week 16, we should be hitting level 85, I think. Now, in terms of the milestones completed, that is 5 out of 6 assault battles. The one we're missing is Rebel Roundup. I think we talked about that last video. Fleet Arena, we are now consistently hitting the top 20, which means we are able to afford to do that Cantina refresh every single day, and sometimes we might refresh a light side node or dark side node. We beat a galactic bounty. That technically could have been done sooner. That's just the timing of when it fell into the schedule and when I was ready for it. It is a little tough. Level 65, around that is good enough for that first tier, but it is a little touch and go. And then Smuggler's Run, we're beating that one. But with Smuggler's Run, that could technically be completed as far back as maybe as soon as week 4 or 5. The issue is those characters are only necessary for that event, and they're not that great. And the bigger issue is that they compete with Cantina farms. Like, you want Kira because she's the only leadership for that event. Young Han is who I was using because Young Han was a cheap, easy guild farm, and then Lando because I was also farming Lando's Falcon for the cargo ship event. L3 would be another one that makes sense, and if you're in a good guild that is farming things quickly, you'll be able to throw in Han fairly easily. I don't have Han unlocked yet. I don't even know if I'm going to have him unlocked at level 85, but this is something that has come up in the comments and we should touch upon. It's the type of guild that I am in, which will illustrate how replicable some of the things that I'm doing with this account are. And it's something I considered. I could have been in a high-end guild, but being in a high-end guild, or relatively speaking a high-end guild, that lessens how replicable the performance of this account is, and I want this account to reflect an average player's performance, because if I'm just juicing up that guild store with a ton of guild store currency that a lot of players aren't going to have, that isn't going to be as informative as what I think I've done here, which is be in a lower end to average guild and still be able to complete as many farms as we have been doing. So with this guild, we are looking at an overall GP of 34 million. That's fairly small. With the territory wars, the participation and activity level is just around that 25 needed to qualify. In terms of the guild store, the rate at which the raids are being completed and the rate at which we are accruing the guild store currency has been more than enough. We have Dengar finished, Logres finished, Sunfac was primarily farmed through the guild store. I have Young Han Solo unlocked and starred up to 4. Colonel Stark has been unlocked and farmed up to 5 stars. Jin's been unlocked through the guild store. And we are not at a point where I have been farming Obi-Wan primarily through the guild store, because with the shard economy changes, it is a lot more efficient and fruitful to be doing more farms through the guild store than I previously would have thought or recommended. Because of how many Cantina node farms there are, being able to diversify farming locations to places that used to be inefficient farms, like Obi-Wan before the shard economy changes, I never would have farmed through the guild store. I'm also doing Farm Boy Luke through the guild store when he appears, just because of the number of things that I want to get through Cantina nodes. And again, the reason why I've stayed in a smaller guild is I want to show what is replicable. I don't want to just show high-end performance, because of course high-end performance is going to be accomplishing plenty of those farms without issue. But with a reduced amount of guild store currency, all of this is still achievable. And let me show you where we are. Let me go to Rebels, show you where the Han Solo and the Kenobi farms are at. So Han Solo is getting close to being unlocked here, and Kenobi is not that far along, but is still progressing pretty quickly. And that's where Kenobi's at. So we're going to have Padme, a lot of those other characters like Chewbacca, unlocked before we have those raid characters unlocked, but we will have them soon after. Traya, this guild is not doing the heroic tier for the Sith raid, but that should be achievable fairly soon. I think some of these members are about to unlock Supreme Leader Kylo. Last thing we will discuss are what we have been working on in terms of the roster and farms for the past 2 weeks. The big project of weeks 14 and 15 have been the light side ships, because we're trying to complete the other capital ship challenges that appear every day. So we have been throwing most of our resources into farming up the Ghost and Phantom, farming up Biggs, and then working on all of these pilots. Right now, we're still not punching hard enough to beat those daily challenges. We've already taken care of the dark side one with Tarkin's capital ship, but these light side ships are what we are working on to make as strong as possible. I've been focused on the Rebel ships just because we're going to have the Falcon unlocked within a couple weeks, so I want the Rebel pilots ready to go. The other ships we have been farming basically since they've been available have been the bounty hunter ships. Most of these are going to be at 4-star. Everyone should be at 4 stars except for the Houndstooth, but the Houndstooth should be at 4 stars soon after, and then we're progressing on getting them to 5 stars pretty soon. We'll have the Falcon unlocked soon after hitting level 85, maybe a week or 2 after. Now, in terms of the character farms, we've already touched upon it quickly, but what we have been primarily throwing our resources at have been Phoenix characters on those pilots, and then Biggs for the other Rebel pilot. And so they've been getting all the ability mats, we've been giving them all the credits, we have been promoting them, trying to make them strong enough to beat those daily challenges, and we're still not quite there yet. The other big project since week 14 is we were able to unlock and star up the Brood Alpha node. So we have been farming Brood Alpha hard since level 83, and we'll have Brood Alpha probably unlocked within a day or 2. And then Sith Trooper, we've started the farm on Sith Trooper, and that's because he qualifies as First Order and Sith. I want to have him added for some daily challenges, and he's very good regardless of everything else. And then we will very quickly hop through each of these factions. Bounty Hunters, we have been farming Karga and Mando. Karga will hopefully be hitting 5 stars before level 85. As soon as Mando and Karga are double drops, those characters should be among the go-to characters for bounty hunters. Really, they should be Jango, Karga, Mando, Boba Fett, and Dengar. They're going to be great. I'm expecting them to help out a ton for getting Chewie, and that's the big thing we're going to be testing, is seeing how much easier that 7-star unlock is going to be with just these guys. Bosk we're going to try and leave out, because once Karga and Mando are double drop characters, a 7-star unlock of Chewie should be achievable with these characters, or at least that's what I want to see. And achievable at a much lower threshold than was required previously. We'll touch on clones quickly. We haven't really been working on these characters, but I would like to have them soon after hitting level 85 for Grand Arena. But we've been passively achieving a lot of these shards. 5s have started giving him some Cantina store purchases, because we've basically finished off the other ones, the other high priority farms in the Cantina store. Empire. The one thing to say about the Empire is now that Moff Gideon's on a cheap node, within a year, Moff Gideon very likely might be one of the go-to starting farms in the game. Moff Gideon, Piet, Range Trooper, maybe Snow Trooper, and Stormtrooper should be some go-to farms to begin the game. Snow Trooper, the only reason not to is because the Snow Trooper isn't farmable from the Cantina nodes until later, but the Snow Trooper drops regularly enough that this farm here has been mostly done through Bronziums. Here's the Ewoks. They've been progressing well. We'll see if we have enough for a C-3PO unlock. First Order's been progressing slower just because they're a little bit more expensive from a gearing standpoint. But everyone's at 5 stars except for Executioner. That's one farm I want to get up to a 5-star level before the end of next week. Galactic Republic's been ready to go for, not ready to go, but we have at a workable level, and once Padme is unlocked, we'll have a team that we can throw Padme with. And then by the time we get Kenobi, the rest of that Padme team should be in a workable order. Geos have been, they're my ships and fleet, so they're very strong in Brood Alpha. We touched on earlier. Here's the remnants. Again, this, we'll see where Dark Trooper become, what node that's on, but Moff Gideon without the rest of these remnants is still going to create a very good Imperial Trooper squad to start the game out with. Jedis haven't really been touched too much since the last video, other than the Obi-Wan farm and the Phoenix characters becoming stronger. Night Sisters with Squad Arena store and the Cantina store, we've been farming Asajj and Odaka. We have the other high priority farms done. And Night Sister Zombie, I want to be my gear focus once we're past a few other requirements. Old Republic, we've started some of these farms. Zelbar we're farming, Karth we're farming, just because the other farms that I've been distracted with in the ship nodes are now completed. We now have enough currency to throw at the Old Republic characters on the ship nodes. Rebels, we have the start. Rebels, the big thing here is the CLS requirements. Kenobi, Han, Luke, Leia, and R2. Really the only character that is being a little bit slower right now is Luke, and I would like to get Luke to 7 stars by the time we hit level 85. Obi-Wan hopefully will be there, but the CLS requirements, we're done with Leia and Han. R2 needs to be promoted up, but R2's right behind there. We'll have the CLS requirements hopefully ready to go by level 85. That's one of the goals we've been working towards. Resistance has really been nothing. Rogue One, we have the start of a team. Cassian, I want to unlock soon for the U-Wing. And these characters we can pair with Mon Mothma, who I farmed earlier to the unlock. And Separatist, we're starting to build a Separatist droid team. We got Grievous unlocked. Anytime we see Grievous shards, we buy them. Droidica, because that's the same node as Cad Bane, that farm has been moving quickly, and IG-100 is basically all been done through Bronziums. Sith is slow just because, other than the ones that are currently unlocked and geared up, these farms don't coincide with other requirements, so this has been slower. That's why Sith Trooper I've been working on, since that doubles up on factions. Sith Empire, obviously nothing. And then Smugglers. Let me show you where these guys are at. That right there is enough to beat that first tier. It's a little tight, but actually young Han Solo with that protection up middle ability does all the work to beat that Smuggler first tier. And then once we get some of these other characters unlocked, we'll be beating some of those later tiers. So that's weeks 14 and 15. Next week we should be hitting level 85. That's 4 months since starting this new account. The big project that we shifted to while we were working on this account was seeing what the shard economy changes meant with all those farms and how many farms we could be ready for by level 85, how many events we could be completing by level 85. And we have been doing very well on those goals. Where we're coming up short are the ability mats and the credits. Hopefully, when we hit 85 and we're able to do those legendary events, we're getting credits from all of those events. I'm not sure if you do or don't, but in the case that we are getting credits from all of those legendary events, we should be able to reinvest that back into the roster, level up some more characters, and make sure we're beating as many of those tiers as we can, and we'll see how many legendaries we are able to unlock week 16. So thank you for watching. Be safe out there, everyone, and be excellent to each other.